Everyone, please come in the front. Everyone, please come. Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. अरे रुको. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. मेरी शाम को मैं कल Hare Krishna. Can I request everyone to move all the way to the front and then please take a seat. Kids who are little restless can stay in the back with their parents. Everybody else can come and please sit all the way to Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. May I request, there is still some more gap, people are sitting in the back. Can I request everyone to move? Trust me, just as Krishna Shloka speaks there, Abhaya Charana, his pure devotees feet are also like that. So, please move. Suppose there is some more space here. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for coming. This is a long time in the making. It's our desire that His Grace Vaisesika Maharaj and Narukala Mataji place us here and uplift all of us. And this desire has been finally fulfilled. I was just checking that I think around 3 years ago we started this program and we were supposed to do third year anniversary today. And so it's a blessing and gift that Krishna has given by sending Maharaj and Narukala Mataji. I think it's totally unplanned. Until last week, I also didn't know that Maharaj is coming actually. So it's our good fortune. So I'll give you a very brief introduction. Much can be said, and I think most of our teachings, whatever you hear, is coming from the mouth of Vaisesika Prabhu. I was remembering one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Akshno phalam tva drisha darshanam hi tano phalam tva drisha gatra sangha jihva phalam tva drisha kirtanam hi sudurlabha bhagavata hi loke. This verse says that Akshno phalam tva drisha darshanam hi, the perfection of eyesight is to actually see a pure devotee of the Lord. Tano phalam tva drisha gatra sangha, the perfection of having this body is actually to be able to touch the lotus feet of a pure devotee. And jihva phalamtva drisha kirtanam hi, the perfection of tongue is actually to purify a pure devotee. Not purify, glorify a pure devotee. By glorifying them, our tongue and existence gets purified. Because pure devotees are extremely rare, sudhurlabha. So in that sense, even though Maharaj and Mataji are here at ISV, somehow many of us are not able to go there. So this is a great fortune for us. Maharaj, many of us at ISV know his wonderful journey. At a very young age, he had intuition and very interesting questions about why everybody should die, what is the purpose of life, like that. He renounced the world when he was, I think, junior high school, around 11th grade, I think.
Junior in high school.
Junior in high school. And then he walked barefoot to school, slept on the floor without any connection to any spirituality. I mean, for sure, now we can know this is Krishna's plan all along. And eventually one friend gave him Back to Godhead magazine. It's a book that ISKCON we distribute. And Maharaj got it in a miraculous way, and that is the first time he saw Srila Prabhupada in that magazine, and he decided to dedicate his life, and he joined and became a monk at the age of 16. And at the age of 29, I think he met Narukala Mataji, and 13 years later,
29.
he was 20, yes, Maharaj was 29 years old, and he met his, I hate to say, but better half. I agree though. Maharaj agrees. So, and of course, Nirakala Mataji herself is a wonderful. She had an exciting journey. She left home at the age of 16, and I think traveled across America to come to California. And she stayed in the mountain top, some deserted cabin, and took showers somewhere else, and eventually met Satsuru Maharaj, and eventually went to ISKCON LA Temple, where she got initiated in 1973. And served as a pujari there for many years. Co-authored one of the original cookbooks, The Higher Taste, which we distribute. So both of them here now, they're at ISV. They're initiating spiritual master, a guide, mentor, inspiration. I always feel he is an acharya of inspiration. Every class that I go to, this is one thing that is guaranteed. He encourages the heck out of everyone actually, and that's so much can be said. So I requested Maharaj to kindly speak about their spiritual journey, so he actually becomes little, and we can take his words and instructions and what pleases him, so we can all make his life's mission our life mission, and that will be the perfection of our life. So let us welcome both Maharaj and Mataji with loud Haribol 3 times. There should be a second mic like this somewhere. Anybody finds, please.
Although we live in Burlingame, we're feeling every evening that there's some powerful energy coming from this area. We couldn't tell what it was, nor could we sleep. And now that we've come to this place, which is sort of like traveling to the dark side of the moon, it's so far away from where we live, and now see where the energy's coming from. Anywhere where devotees come together to hear, chant, and remember Krishna, there's a blessing that expands to everybody in the vicinity. And this was mentioned by Parikshit when he sat down to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Shukadev Goswami appeared. He mentioned that Vasudeva Kata Prashna Purushams Trin Punatihi Bhaktaram Prachakam Shrotins Tapada Salilanyata. And anybody hears the Srimad Bhagavatam, first of all, the speaker becomes purified. The speaker gets the most purification, our Acharya said. And that's also true when you distribute Srimad Bhagavatams to others. You become blessed. Second, who's the second one? I'm just seeing if you're paying attention. Now I see what happened. The applause is for our expertise at catching these. The second is the person who listens to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the third, all people in the vicinity who just happen to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada had come to America with the intention of proliferating the Srimad Bhagavatam, and making sure that people had an opportunity to read it. And this stands to reason for someone who's following the Bhagavata system, which is based on the premise of doing the highest good for all living beings. In fact, that's the premise of the Srimad Bhagavatam. When the sages came together at Naimisharanya, they wanted to know what is the means by which one could not only benefit oneself, but also do the highest good for all living beings. And Sutta Goswami, who was repeating what he heard from Shukadev, who had spoken to Parikshit. Savai pumsam parodharmo yato bhaktiradoksaje ahai tukhiya pratiyata yayatmasu prasiditi. To inculcate unmotivated, uninterrupted service to Krishna is the highest good. And by that method and teaching it to other people, others can also achieve the highest good. What's more, we find in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam why it's so effective, because we learn that Shukadeva Goswami, who had stayed in the womb for 16 years, thinking that if he came out of the womb, he would be captured again by the illusory energy of the world. He was already a liberated soul, but one of the predispositions of a liberated soul is that he or she is wary of the material energy, never tempts fate and thinks, I'm already liberated. But when Krishna himself came and convinced Shukadeva he could come out, even though Vyasadeva had called for him after he came out of the womb, Shukadeva turned and walked away from his family. He was so disenchanted with the material world that he went to a secluded place to remain aloof. But then Vyasadeva, his father, had sent some disciples to the forest to read Srimad Bhagavatam aloud. And the verses we hear were from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. One of them was about how Putana, although she was a child killer, a baby killer, that was her intention, to kill Krishna. She had been liberated just by coming in contact with him, because Krishna had taken her disposition, although false, dressing as a mother, to nurse him. But she had put poison on her breast. And then Krishna gave her a very wonderful type of liberation in the spiritual world. And so we hear that how wonderful is Krishna, that those, even with malintent, who approach him become liberated and achieve the highest benediction. When Shukadeva heard these verses and others about the qualities of Krishna, it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Nigranta Apyarukrame. They're not from the realm of the material world, these vibrations of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore, even Shukadeva Goswami, who was Atma Rama, he was completely self-satisfied, wanted nothing to do with material nature. He became attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Srimad Bhagavatam also mentions, or rather the demigods within the pastime when Krishna is just about to appear in the world, say that without hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and developing a relationship for Krishna, any endeavor one makes for self-realization will not be successful. Aruya Krishna param param tata patantyato nagrita yushmadambre. That is that one has impure intelligence, and until one has a relationship with the personality of Godhead, Krishna, who's lotus-eyed, then whatever hard work one does to liberate oneself, that includes, as Prabhupada said, even some financial endeavor. One might think, I'll earn enough money to retire, and then I'll be liberated. Or I'll achieve a powerful position in the government, and then I'll have freedom. But to speak of yogis who try to separate themselves from matter, eventually, Aruya Krishna param patantyata, one falls back down again. But if one can develop even a slight taste, and Prabhupada writes this in the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto. We're going to read it soon because leading up to Janmashtami, we love to read these sections of the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada says, even if one develops a slight inclination to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, that person becomes genuinely liberated. Now, Prabhupada, on the Jaladuta, when he was coming to America, had written poetry, and he indicated his mission was to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam widely to everyone, because he saw this as the means by which all people, that is, people of every part of the world, he wanted the Bhagavatam in every language, and he wanted it to be distributed profusely to everybody. Every respectable person, he said, should have it in their home. In fact, we're finding it, even people who aren't respectable are taking them in their home and they're becoming respectable. But that was his mission, to make sure that the Srimad Bhagavatam was available to everybody. I happen to be a recipient of that campaign, as Prabhu mentioned. I was minding my own business right there in Lafayette, California, in the Golden Brown Hills, in a secluded little neighborhood called Lafayette Valley Estates, in my own room. And somehow or other, the literature found me there. And it changed my life. And it's the basis of our entire movement of Krishna consciousness, the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why we've been giving our full attention to the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam and the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we find that these two endeavors are complementary. Because when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we feel spiritually uplifted enough to move our feet out the door to meet other people and to suggest that they also read Srimad Bhagavatam. And then when we distribute Srimad Bhagavatam, we find out about spiritual mathematics. And here's how spiritual math works. Do they teach this? What grade are you in? Do they teach this in 6th grade? Spiritual math means the more you give the Bhagavatam, the more your taste for it increases in your heart. It's the best kind of service anyone can do. Shru Shru Shro Shadadanasya Vasudeva Katagachi Syam Mahat Savya Vipra Punya Tirtana Shevanat. When we say, how can I have a taste for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? And the answer comes from Sutta Goswami. He says, when you do service for the great souls, for the Mahats, Mahat Sevam Dwara Mahurava Muktes Tamodam Yoshita Sanghi Sangha Antaste Samachita Prasanta Vimanyavak Surivak Sadavo. Yay. This means the door to liberation is open by serving Mahatmas. And so here's an opportunity that we all have. We're on the planet together. Somehow or other we've all come together, and it's a curiosity that how we who were born in the West, I mean, even it's a curiosity how I met my wife. I'm living on the West Coast, she's on the East Coast. There's no earthly reason that we should have met somewhere in the sojourn of our lives. What to speak of us meeting all of you? I'm assuming some of you are from India. How did we come together here? And where are we, by the way? In Fremont? How did we come together in Fremont? I didn't even come to Fremont when I lived in the Bay Area. I just heard about it. There was a drag strip here. It was an advertisement for the Fremont drag strip. But I never came here. But now we're all here together. There must be a purpose. Krishna must have a purpose for us. And life is no fun. In fact, it's all completely boring and stupid unless you have a driving purpose that means something. So we have that. And you've made your center here as a beacon for all those sincere souls who Srimad Bhagavatam, by the way, talks about all of you. Because it says that in the Kali Yuga, that very elevated, pious souls will take birth. Specifically, he talks about in India, near pious rivers, who will come and help spread the Sankirtan movement. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following up on that, gave an open order, Brahmate Bharata Brahmate Hoila Manasya Janma Jar Janma Sartak Kari Hara Upakar. He said, if you're born in Bharat, then I'm suggesting, that's too soft of a word. He's saying, I'm asking, that's even too soft. He said, I'm telling, that's too soft too. I'm ordering you. You have to take the wealth that you've inherited. And the wealth isn't Hope Diamond? Did that come from India? What's the big diamond that the British stole? Yeah, they took it. Or they took all kinds of wealth out of India. I mean, the East India Trading Company was some kind of scam to take over the country. They were successful at it for a couple hundred years. When Prabhupada first went to London and then reporters had microphones, they said, why'd you come here? He said, well, you occupied India for so many years, he said, and you took so many things, but you forgot something. So we're following up. We're bringing what you forgot to bring. And that's the jewel, the real wealth of India. You took everything, but you forgot to take the thing that really matters. And that's the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so we're given that task. Working for corporations nowadays is just to maintain. There's no life in it. But there is life in the Bhagavatam. And in reading it, one develops the highest qualities that a human being can acquire. And by distributing it, we become favorites of Krishna, Prabhupada said. So all of you are gathered here for a purpose. You have a leadership now to march towards victory in Fremont and all around the Bay Area. We have a plan, to take over the whole Bay Area. And it's happening here in Fremont because of your sincere desire to expand the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're delighted to be here today. When we were given the opportunity to come, we wanted to come see you, meet you, go out on book distribution with you, advocate for the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam, because we believe that you're appointed already by Krishna. You came here to this planet, let us speak of to Fremont, just so you could engage in book distribution. Now I turn it over to my better half.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. When I was, both of us, he was in California and I came to California. We were very fortunate when we discovered Krishna consciousness. We were young, we didn't have a lot of responsibilities, and we were seeking spiritual values. And so when we came to Krishna consciousness, and I was brought to the Los Angeles temple, I was very fortunate because there was a program that we had the morning program, Mangal Arti, chanting japa, Tulsi Puja, Darshan Arti, and then we would have an hour-long Bhagavatam class. Then we would go about our services, and then we would come back in the evening and have Bhagavad Gita class. And even during the day, there were other classes for those who lived in the ashram, the Brahmachari and Brahmacharini ashram. And so I grew up, because I was only 17 when I joined, I grew up really reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And I can say that it saved me. This movement and taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada and reading his books saved me, because I was of the hippie era, and that wasn't playing out too well. And so, and Srila Prabhupada, I was only 22 when Srila Prabhupada departed, when he left. And so what's given me strength and what's kept me connected to what Srila Prabhupada gave us is his books. They're very, very powerful. And all of you here have come here. You've come from your homes in India where there was a lot of culture. You have extended families that you know, your grandparents and your parents were very religious and probably read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and then you come here and you have to find your own association to be able to pass along the culture and the values to your children. And having Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam as a family and distributing it to others is a way to preserve the culture and spread the culture. It's so important. I would imagine it can be quite shocking, as it was for Srila Prabhupada. You know, when he came on the Jaladuta in 1966, he didn't even know if there would be anything for him to eat here. He took a great leap of faith following the order of his spiritual master. And what did he come with? Right, he came with Srimad Bhagavatam. And actually, Srimad Bhagavatam had even come before Srila Prabhupada. It had come to, what was the
Library of Congress.
The Library of Congress.
New York Library.
Yeah. Prabhupada himself would distribute his books. And he distributed Srimad Bhagavatam, the 3 volumes that he had, to the Library of Congress in Delhi, and they sent copies to the big library in New York. And so when Srila Prabhupada was living in New York by himself, didn't really have any disciples yet or anybody helping him, he would go to that main library. It's a big, beautiful library. It's got probably millions of books, and go and read his Srimad Bhagavatam there and see his Srimad Bhagavatam there. So Srimad Bhagavatam has a lot of importance in the big picture, and then personally to us as Srila Prabhupada's disciples and grand disciples, to spread the mission of giving everyone the opportunity to have that scripture, which is Krishna, which is Bhagavan, in their own homes, to be able to read together as family, to be able to share the values with their children, to come together in sanghas like this. So, because we've had so much benefit from following Srila Prabhupada, reading his books, his purports, it's hard to imagine that he came at the age of 70 and that he wrote all the way through 10th canto, 13th chapter, right? In just from 66 to 77. On his deathbed, Srila Prabhupada was still translating, still giving his purports. There's photos of it, there's recordings of it. It was that important to him. He'd get up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning while everything was quiet to be able to keep doing the translating. And so we feel such a debt to him for everything that he put into these books. The leap of faith he took by following the order of his spiritual master to bring them to the West. And so any little thing that we can do, because we see the results. We see the results in our own lives, in our friends' lives, in our families' lives, in our communities' lives. We really believe in the importance and the spiritual potency of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so we're so happy to be here with all of you, be talking about it and then going out to distribute the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you.
As we expand our movement here in the Bay Area, we'll measure each one of the communities that comes up and their effectiveness by how many devotees are reading Srimad Bhagavatam and how many sets of Srimad Bhagavatam they distribute collectively. So I'm feeling a lot of spiritual energy in this Sangha. I think that you're capable of learning the art of distributing Srimad Bhagavatam. We just came back from Canada. We were there for 10 days. Malini Degdasi, who's over here, just watch out for her. She's our co-Sankirtan leader at ISV. And she also came to Canada, along with several other devotees, because we like to go to various communities and be with the devotees personally. Wake up together for the early morning chanting Mangalarti, and then have class in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then go out. That's the most exciting of all prospects. Now consider that Prabhupada stepped on the Jaladuta when he was 70 years old, and he had no connections in America. Now think of what it must feel like to do something like that. Well, you can experience it for yourself. Because every time that you walk out your door with the intention of doing good for others, parupakar, but not knowing what's going to happen, when you think of going and introducing Srimad Bhagavatams to others, what do you think of? You might think of what happens if somebody says no. Admit it, you might think that. Right? Prabhupada met so many people who said they weren't interested, but he met enough who then formed the nucleus for his movement. And you'll find when you walk out the door and you go to the spot, you don't have to do anything except for just feel what it's like to go out into the great unknown and take a risk. And don't think that you have to perform or distribute anything. We just go out and touch the pavement in the place where we're going to observe the great yajna of distributing Srimad Bhagavatam and see what it feels like. And then you can have an inkling of what it's like, what it was like for Srila Prabhupada to go in the Jaladuta. Om Tat Sat. Okay.
So we were planning for book distribution, which is the best community service we can imagine, because when we go out and give food, they'll eat it and they'll be done. If they eat prasadam, at least they'll get some ajnata sukhriti. But when they get books, when they read those books, even Maharaj mentions even one sentence, one paragraph. There are so many devotees who read. There was one person in Russia, I think. He was in a animal killing slaughterhouse, and he got hold of one piece of paper of Bhagavad Gita, and he read that part, and he gave up slaughtering animals, and he became a devotee eventually. So it's a very powerful ways to help and uplift society. So I requested Maharaj, and Maharaj was kind enough to come. I requested Malini Mataji, Kameshwari Mataji, and Ramrati Prabhu. Let's give a big haribol for them. Maharaj, if it's okay, none of us have much experience of distributing books, let alone Srimad Bhagavatam. If you can give us what are some of the principles we should keep in mind and some techniques as well, that would be helpful.
The first is, don't go out to distribute books. Just go out to feel what it feels like to walk out the door. Especially because for some of you it may be the first time. Is that true?
Yes.
So today we're not concentrating on trying to sell a book. Nor do we at other times either, but especially today. I just want us to feel what it feels like to be, as a group, happy here together, but then to walk out into a wider space where people are busy doing other things. They'll be shopping, they'll be driving, they'll be going to a movie Saturday night, and they're not tuned into the Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you go out, you want to feel the contrast. The Sri Upanishad says, Vidyam cha yas, tat vedopayam saha, avidyayam ratum chitva, vidyayam ratum ashrita. Only one who can learn the process of nations and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. These kids know all these shlokas. They don't know the English. So, when we go out into the atmosphere after we've been together chanting Hare Krishna, notice the difference. Just notice that. And as far as book distribution, the main technique is to pray. Before you go out, you pray. On your way out the door, you pray. When you go to the place where you're going to distribute books, you pray. Before you meet somebody, you pray. How many times is that?
4 times.
That was at least 4. But you can increase the frequency. Because it's more about prayer than it is anything else. And notice that's what Prabhupada did. On the Jaladuta, he wasn't considering exactly what his technique was going to be. He was just praying. And if you pray very deeply, then you'll be in a kind of meditation on Krishna. Because we oftentimes feel that we're supported by the insurance we purchased. Did you get umbrella insurance with your insurance policy? Yeah? Do you feel happy now? Well, there's always some glitch somewhere. And it turns out that there is some gap here in the material world. We can never be secure. Padam padam yad vipadam. There's always a misstep somewhere. So we're never protected. And at the same time, we feel that we are. That our money will protect us, insurance, maybe the government, maybe not so much nowadays. So many things we think will protect us. But when we go out for book distribution, we think, oh, Krishna, only you can help me now. So that's a really good feeling, and that's why we're going out. And the other meditation is, remember Prabhupada, his first step onto the Jaladuta. What was that like? Really, what was it like for him? Leaving the continent he'd never left before on his way to a mystery place. And then there he had no contacts. He only had the order of his spiritual master. And feel that. Feel that. Face that fear. What it feels like to go out and say, I'm in a foreign country practically. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a foreign country. I don't know what people are going to say. I feel more comfortable actually in Europe or other places. But not to speak of India. And then go to the place and just meditate on Prabhupada. That's the first step. Pray. Second step is just to show the books, which means that people are walking around looking for things anyway. That's why they go like this all day long. But it's going too fast. So, no, there's something, and everyone's scrolling the whole universe. And it's just going by, like this. Because don't be surprised if people try to swipe you when you walk by. They'll see you and they go like, okay, tell me fast. No, it wasn't fast enough. But what they're looking for, they're not finding. They're looking for something satisfying. Bhagavatam looks different because it's not from this world. It's from another creation. So if you put it out so people can see it, you're going to find some soul somewhere who walks by and then looks at it and says, oh, that looks different. What is it? You might see it. So you have to display it. And then the third thing is just make friends with them. It's not preach to them about the Bhagavatam. It's not to try to educate them. It's just to make friends. So the way to make friends is to be interested in them and to ask them where they're from and to be impressed by where they're from. And that's all. And those are three very simple steps. We summarize those when a very expert devotee had put it into 3 terms. He said pray, and then display, and then relay. So you pray hard, then go out, just show the books, then you're 98% there. Only 2 more little percentage when somebody comes by, then you can say, hi, I'm from Fremont, where are you from? And if they're from a place that you know particularly in India or something, you can just make friends by talking about it. And then last point, and that is that we're not trying to convince people as much as we are trying to select the people who are already inclined. And if you go with that approach, you'll have no anxiety and you can thank me later. Which means that if you're just very selective about who you talk to and wait for the people who are very open and don't worry about everyone else who walks by you and pretends like you don't exist, don't worry about it. Just wait, because they're out there and they always come. And even those who have no idea about how to distribute a set of Srimad Bhagavatams, distribute sets of Srimad Bhagavatams. And why? Because they're out there. So the most important thing is just to go out. And once you go out, magic happens. And then Prabhupada told us in 1975 in Vrindavan, we were a group of book distributors, he said, just be sincere. And he said, try. And then he moved his hand like this to his heart. And he said, and the master within your heart will show you how to do it. So that's all you have to do. And if you want to learn how to do it, then watch Malini, because she's been doing it successfully for a long time. And her approach is very intuitive, very friendly. It's nothing fancy. It's just very straightforward, looking for the nice people. And if you want to, do we have time for more questions, or are we late for the gate?
We have to.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's see if you have more questions, and Malini can also talk about book distribution. Why don't you say a few words now? This is what I've been introducing, Malini. So talk a little bit about book distribution.
Hare Krishna. Somebody was asking me how did I come to book distribution. So one day I was just minding my own business, and then one of the devotees, Paramakaruna Prabhu, he was a brahmachari at the temple, at the old temple, New Jersey temple. And every day what he used to do is to go out, as Prabhu was mentioning. He would just go out and book distribution, all by himself. And this time he was going to Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley. And I just casually asked, so what do you do? He said, yeah, I just distribute books. I go to Berkeley. I'm going to Berkeley today. You're welcome to join if you like. So I was just curious, didn't know what to do. So I just thought, let me join. And I was not very familiar with Bhagavad Gita at that time, nor with any other books. But just because I wanted to experience what it was like to be in the unknown, I went there. So there was a table there, as Prabhu was mentioning, display. There was a display of Bhagavad Gitas, and Paramakarana Prabhu had he put a mat on the floor, and he had a harmonium. He would sing the Mahamantra, and some students would be curious and would stop at the book table, and he would stop the kirtan and then talk to them about Bhagavad Gita and other books and would distribute. So this time, because I was there, he was doing the kirtan, and somebody stopped by at the table. And Paramakarana Prabhu was doing kirtan and said, you talk. I had no training, by the way. You are actually very lucky that you have training, but I had no training. He said, you talk. And I was praying what to say, and I just said, this is a very nice book, this is Bhagavad Gita. It has, I didn't even know how many chapters were in that book. I looked at the index and I saw it has 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. So it's a very nice book, and he was a very sincere student. And he checked the Bhagavad Gita. He said, I'll take it. And he asked me how much. And I looked, I didn't know what to say. He said, any donation. He gave a $20 donation for the Bhagavad Gita and he left. That was my first experience of book distribution. But after the interaction, I was sweating inside because I didn't know how to distribute or what to say. And then when I went back to temple, then I asked His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu that I want to learn how to distribute books, especially Srila Prabhupada's books. And then all I did was I just followed. Wherever Prabhu went, I used to observe how he distributes, what does he say. And even till today, I must say that I don't have any techniques of my own, but I exactly follow whatever lines that Prabhu has taught me, and it works every time, every single time. So it's not about what, as Prabhu was saying, those 3 principles, they work. The most important thing is to just expose ourselves and go out to the unknown. And that's the only big step that we need to take. Just go out there. And rest, Krishna will send sincere souls. You're also sincere, listening very attentively. Krishna will send. And if not, you can just watch Vaisesika Prabhu or Veerapura Mataji or Ramrati Prabhu, his expert veteran, Kameshwari. She also distributes so many Bhagavatam sets. And many devotees here, you can just watch them and have fun. And you can have fun seeing how they are getting rejected by people and they are not affected by it. And they're not affected by it because once somebody says no, they just move on. Maybe we can make a note, like whoever gets the most number of no's wins. So we can make a note of how many times you have been rejected, and we can get a tally, and maybe we can give them a special prize for getting the most number of no's, because that's fun too. Because, as you know, it's not us, it's Krishna distributing, but we are just going out there.
Maharaj, some of us are going for Srimad Bhagavatam distribution, and some of us are going for Bhagavad Gita and maybe Krishna book distribution at Indian stores. If you can kindly, and maybe we'll mostly meet Indians here, if you can kindly mention how to distribute Bhagavad Gitas to Indians.
It's like selling ice to Eskimos. Whatever I say is just my way of doing it, and everyone has their own genius. I don't have genius, but I have my way of doing it. With Indians, they already know Bhagavad Gita, and if they don't know Bhagavad Gita, they think they should know Bhagavad Gita. So if you present a Bhagavad Gita to an Indian, they'll feel guilty, and the reactions will be demonstrative that they'll reject it based on the fact that you're condescending to them, telling them, hey, you should have Bhagavad Gita. So when I meet Indians, I never hand them a Bhagavad Gita. In fact, I don't hand them anything. Srimad Bhagavatam's a little different because most people don't have it. And we experience that when we present the Srimad Bhagavatam, people say they'll have it because they're saying, I already have the Bhagavad Gita. They don't know what the Srimad Bhagavatam is generally, unless they're really rare souls. And then they have, their grandfather was a pundit and he used to read Bhagavatam to them or something like that. So with Bhagavad Gita for Indians, I have a preface that I say to everything. I say, you already know this, and this is not for you. And I don't hand them the Bhagavad Gita, but I make it clear to them that I don't intend this for them, it's for someone else. And so what I say to them is, you already know Bhagavad Gita. And they go, yes. I say, your mother read Bhagavad Gita every day. And they say, yes, yes. And I say, your grandmother memorized Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. And then I say, so this is not for you. I said, because you already know this. And I make sure that I'm not extending the Bhagavad Gita to them. I said, what we're doing is we're making this available to people who don't know about Bhagavad Gita. And then I say, as you know better than me, say that.
As you know better than me.
Actually, corrected me, as you know better than I, but whichever way you want to say it. That the problems of the world are internal. They come from consciousness. And Bhagavad Gita is the solution. And it's also the great asset and wealth of India. And we want to preserve it and make sure that people all over the world have access to it. Therefore, we're printing this in many different languages, like German, French, Italian, Mandarin, Korean, etc., all over the world. And we're starting schools to teach young people. Here, stand up just for a second. And if there's a young person nearby, I say, we have these special schools so the kids are learning the whole Bhagavad Gita. And chant a verse from the Bhagavad Gita really loud.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati taram bhaktya uparitya Ashnami prayata.
There's a child around it, and they say, see, they know the whole Bhagavad Gita. And I said that we're starting schools to teach this to all the kids around the world, so it will be a better world to live in. And you already know this, so it's not for you. That's the 5th time I've said it. And so what we're doing here today is a fundraiser. Everyone say fundraiser.
Fundraiser.
And we're just asking for money. Everyone say, we're just asking for money.
We're just asking for money.
And we use it to spread Bhagavad Gita to people who don't know about it. And when I put it in that way to Indians, then they're happy to give. Then they just want to know how much they can give and how they can give. Do they tap their phone or do they hand over some donation? After they give donation, then no problem to give them the Bhagavad Gita and other books on top of it, depending on how many they can carry. And I keep that relationship with them when I distribute the Bhagavad Gita. Now, I just had thought of this a minute ago. The Srimad Bhagavatam is not just for Indians, it's for everybody. And we're finding that people everywhere in the world, when you present the Srimad Bhagavatam as a book of universal spiritual knowledge, they're interested because people want to know where the basic principles of spiritual knowledge come from. Especially Westerners are generally not interested in religion. And if they are interested in religion and they're already religious, then they'll generally reject what you have because they're not very open-minded about anything else. They consider everything else to be inconsequential besides what they have. So that's not who we're trying to reach. But you should present to everybody. And when we present to Westerners Bhagavad Gita, I'll just say that briefly, because that's a completely different situation. With Westerners, I make friends with them first by finding out if they're qualified. And the way I find out if they're qualified or not is by saying hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. Hi. How is it that you're able to say hi back to me, and how you're able to feel the energy of me saying hi to you? It's a miracle if you think about it. It's consciousness. These chairs aren't talking, but we're talking because we're conscious beings. And if you remember that every person who's walking by is a conscious being, and you try to make a conscious contact with them, then you can see from their response to your initial approach of whether they're open enough to present a Bhagavad Gita to them. And there's a scale that you can judge by. It goes from 1 to 10. It's like a speedometer. Looks like that. In the middle is 5, obviously. One means they don't even acknowledge your existence. That happens sometimes, and it's very interesting. You can say hi, and somebody will just walk by. It's not like they say, get away from me, or they go like this, whatever. They just pretend that you don't exist. And when that happens, please think very deeply about what's our relationship to Krishna. Generally, in the material world, everyone pretends that Krishna doesn't exist. It's all about me. How do you think Krishna feels? That's the way I process when people don't look at me or pretend that I don't exist, but they're way down on the scale. Then when it starts moving up, you'll get to about a 5. And if you say hi, and someone does this, that's a smile with no teeth. A smile with no teeth, it's a 5. It means they're not ready yet. They're closed. And it's very interesting because the face is the index of the mind, and this means, yeah, no. But a 5.1 means the door is a little bit open. So as soon as you go hi and they go, you can see some teeth? 5.1. It means there's a little opening. And what I do then is I ask a question, because questions are like a hook. And they lead the conversation, they also pull people closer to you. And they hold people also when you ask a question. Whoever's asking the question is leading the conversation. And my question is preceded by an announcement. I'm from Burlingame. Where are you from?
Fremont.
Fremont. I love Fremont. I'm from Burlingame. Where are you from? I love Fremont. I'm from Burlingame. Where are you from? I love San Jose. Wherever they're from, I love it, and that's a way to immediately become a friend in their heart, because wherever people live, they think that's the best place on earth. If they go up in an airplane, they're looking out the window and say, "Where's Fremont? Where's San Jose? That's my house, not my house." It's a natural. There's a hummingbird in our backyard, and he's stayed on the same branch of the same tree for the last 5 years. And that's his little branch. So everyone has their little branch they live on. And if you acknowledge their branch, you say, I'm from Burlingame, where are you from? And they say San Jose. San Jose, fantastic. And then they're like, oh, my buddy. And then I say, I announce, from Burlingame, I have the book From Burlingame to San Jose. And I hand the book over, and as I'm handing it over, I tell them there are books on yoga and meditation that show you how to get free from stress. And they ask another question. I say, you've heard of stress, right? You've heard of stress, right? Yeah, they can say yes or no, and I can still keep going, because the next, when they say yes, like something, of course, I've heard of stress. And then some people have a different attitude. They go, no, I haven't heard of stress. That's okay too. Because if they say, yes, I've heard of stress, then I say, really? But you don't look stressed. And if they say, no, I've never heard of stress, I'm not stressed, I go, I know, I can tell by looking at you, you don't look stressed. And then I say, actually, and don't mind me mentioning this, but you look spiritual. Say that.
You look spiritual.
And then here comes the biggest question of all. And if you don't use any of the other template that I'm giving now, this is the one to use. Say, what's your secret?
What's your secret?
And the reason that that's so powerful is because when you're out distributing books and teaching Krishna consciousness in public, it's tacit that you're condescending. Because what you're basically saying by your very existence there is that you're messed up, I'm going to fix you. And so they're resistant to that. Everybody is, because no, I'm fine, I got it together. But when you turn the tables and you say, you look spiritual. And then you say, what's your secret? So then you've changed it. You put them on the Vyasasana. And you go like, Guruji, now you teach me. And this is what our acharyas have said. This is how to approach people. You come there and you fall down at their foot. You say, you're amazing. I've never met anybody like you. Nobody knows more than you. And they're going, wow, finally somebody understands me. and then one of our acharyas said, it's in the Sanskrit verse, then he says, okay, now that the person, they open their heart to you and they say, now please, you forget everything else you've learned and just try to take Lord Chaitanya's teachings. So at that point, what's your secret? They may tell you some little thing like, well, I do yoga, or maybe I'm just an organized person. Or if they say, no, I don't have any secret, you say, you must just come from a good family. They say, no, I come from a bad family. Well, you must just be a natural. And so then, based on the fact that they have a spiritual connection, because you've just established it for them, then I take the book back and I say, I'll show you really quick. How fast am I going to show them?
Really quick.
Because their mind is scrolling and they're going, how can I swipe this guy off? So you want to swipe you away. You're like, swipe, 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 get him off me. So you go, this is really quick. It's quicker than a reel. And then you just start showing them stuff on the book. There's things on the back of the book that says Thoreau, Emerson, Gandhi, and you throw in a few other words depending on who it is. Who's that famous movie star or singer who Dina Bandhu mentioned this morning? Who we teach?
Hema
Malini. Oh, I met Shatrughna Singh. I didn't know who he was, but I was with our loyal helper, Sujira Madhava. We were coming down the gangplank to get on the airplane, and he goes, that's a famous movie star, and everyone was getting around him and stuff like that. I ended up in the seat right next to him. Like, he was in this seat, I was in that seat. And before we landed, I reached through and I said, this is for your daughter, because she just got married. This is a wedding present. He said, oh, this is very nice. I like this book. And he gave it to his servant, put it in the bag. When we got off the plane, everyone was taking pictures with him. And so Sujir said, go, see if you can get a picture with him. So I walked over, we took a photo. Then he turns around and says to the whole audience, he said, I spent 1 hour in the presence of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and it was the most important hour of my life. So, all that to say, you can throw in Shatrughna Singh, because he definitely likes the Bhagavad Gita. But you mentioned a few names. Then we turn to the front cover. Actually, for Americans, that won't mean anything. But we say names of famous people who've read Bhagavad Gita. Einstein is somebody. You've heard of Einstein? And you've heard of Tupac Shakur, right? Say no, you've never heard of him. But you can mention him. The Beatles, George Harrison, and so forth. Then we show in the front cover, there are the universities. There's USC. There's Georgetown University. And you just show them really quick. And then we show them the pictures. And he's getting me a Bhagavad Gita really quick. And then I show them changing bodies. Now, changing bodies is a nice thing to show people because although we've seen it many times, other people have not seen this picture. And in fact, when we go to corporates to give talks, we sometimes we have a sculpture of this changing bodies. It's about this big. And last time I went to Salesforce, downtown San Francisco, I carried it in the building, and you have to sign in there to go up to the room to give the talk. And people would walk by me, and then they do a U-turn and come back around. And they go, wait a minute, excuse me, what is that? I say, what do you think it is? And they go, oh my God. And they call their friends over. And I got on the elevator, and everyone's minding their own business, but somebody says, what is that? I said, what do you think it is? And they all turned. Oh my God. So this is a very powerful picture to show people. You can show how we're just passing through. And then you could show this other picture, which is, you can say, this shows a self-realized person who treats everybody with respect because he or she sees that there's a spirit within everybody. And then we ask them if they've heard of karma. You've heard of karma, right? What does it mean to you? whoa, I really like the way you put things. You've heard of karma before, right?
Yes.
What does it mean to you?
What goes around comes around.
Whoa, I really like the way you. And so you ask people, you've heard of karma, right? And they go, yeah. And he said, what does it mean? He's like, I don't know. It just probably means, if you're a nice person, good things happen. You stop, whoa, I really like the way you put it. If more people in the world thought like you, it would be a better place to live. Then the last question I say, what do you do professionally? What do you do professionally? Huh? You print what? You paint doors. And then I show him this picture. I said, really? This guy used to paint doors. Or they say, I'm a Sunday school teacher. Really? This guy used to be a Sunday school teacher. And then they laugh. And as soon as they're laughing, then I close the book, I hand it back, say, we don't sell it, like in a bookstore. We only ask for a donation. We don't need the money, but it's an ancient tradition called dakshina. When you give something in return for spiritual knowledge, it connects you to the teachers who have passed it down over many generations. They say they cost us about $10 to print and ship. Anything you give over that is a donation. And then they'll give you a donation. Then we ask them, do you believe in the power of prayer? And what if they say no? Then say, perfect, I'll give you a mantra. And if they say, yes, I believe in the power of prayer, either way, you give them the Hare Krishna mantra, you say, okay, repeat after me. And then you say it, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then we give them some prasadam, and we invite them to come to Bhakti community, or to the Fremont gathering, or whatever you have as a follow-up so that you can take advantage of it. So those are how to distribute to Indians. Don't give them a book. Just tell them it's a fundraiser and make sure they don't get anywhere near it. If they reach for it, take it away. Say, no, not for you. As soon as they touch the book, it's all over. Any question? You should bring up the what if questions. Yeah, what if? Okay, so
Maharaj, I'll ask one question on behalf of people, which is some people believe that I haven't read the entire Bhagavad Gita, or I have not started reading Bhagavatam, or I have not read much. How can I distribute these books without reading? How can we understand these?
okay, Molly, go ahead.
I think I just mentioned in my previous thing that I didn't read Bhagavad Gita when I started distributing them, but when I went on distributing books, some people ask question, did you read this? Or when I distribute Srimad Bhagavatam, they ask me, did you finish reading Srimad Bhagavatam? So that question is very important because that gives you impetus to go back and read. And I also mentioned that even if you read Bhagavad Gita, the entire Bhagavad Gita, the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, we still may not fully understand what it is, and we probably will never understand it. Because in this process of reading in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, we are always a student. So we study sincerely or read sincerely, and Krishna actually gives us revelations about the verses. So similarly, even little bit that you read, you share with other people, then Krishna gives you more and more realizations to share with other people. So it's good to read, but because when you go out on book distribution, you first, as Prabhu was mentioning, you have to pray, and along with it your sadhana must be strong. So whatever you read and whatever you fill up, you can go and share with other people.
I think also it had to do with what if the person you meet says, I don't read? Tell the story of the atheist.
So when we go, when we show them the Bhagavatam, as you know, this is the complete set of Bhagavatam that you see here. There are 12 cantos and 18 volumes, and the Bhagavad Gita is what you want to show? this is the Bhagavad Gita. So many people say that I don't read books, and some people even say I'm an atheist. So we were at, I think it was in San Jose, someplace. It was in Coconut Hill, San Jose. They were distributing Srimad Bhagavatam. And one person said, and I stopped them, I'm from this place, and we did the whole introduction, making friends. I made friends with him. And then I said, today we are showing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And immediately he said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I don't read books. And then his wife, who was next to him, she said, oh, I believe in God. I want to know what it is about. And then I explained what, like in very small nutshell, that Srimad Bhagavatam is essence of Vedas. It's non-different than Krishna. It's very auspicious to have Srimad Bhagavatam in your home. And I said all these things, and she said, it's nice that you're telling this. I like worship and everything, but I'm not a big reader. I don't read books. Then we said that perfect. We are not asking you to read. This project, what we are doing, is to preserve Sanatana Dharma. This knowledge is passed down since last 5,000 years. And if you see, and I show them one of the paper like this, and we show them and they say, this was written 5,000 years ago. It's been translated from Sanskrit to English. The paper that you see, this is supposed to last for 500 years. So 5 generations can make use of these books. So we are not asking you to read, we are asking you to preserve. And the atheist said that, okay, for preservation, I will do anything. So they took the entire set of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he paid $500 for the Bhagavatam, which he didn't believe in, and which he was never going to read, but he wanted to preserve. So this is not that they have to read immediately, because that builds a lot of pressure on them that they have to read Srimad Bhagavatam. We just tell them that they're doing this for preservation. And we can also mention about Matsya-avtar, how Krishna came as Matsya-avtar to save the Vedas which were lost at that time. So it is actually reviving the Vedic knowledge, and we are doing the same thing. We are also trying to revive this lost Srimad Bhagavatam in all of our lives. So we're here to preserve them. So please help preserve this ancient knowledge.
There's one more thing that I say when people say I won't read it, or they say I don't have time to read it, I won't read it, and so forth. And I say, oh, that's fine. Do you know the science of Vastu? And they'll say yes or no, it doesn't matter. And I say, well, Vastu says that every object within our purview has an effect on our lives. I say everything you have in your house is affecting you in one way or another in your consciousness and your fortune in life. I said when you put a spiritual object in your household, it attracts good fortune. Do you know where good fortune comes from? And they think for a second, and well, it doesn't come from working harder, because some people work 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and they still don't get ahead. They just don't. It comes from the spiritual realm. And this book comes from the spiritual realm. So when you keep it in your house, even if you don't read it, it'll attract good fortune into your life. And sometimes people say, well, I don't believe that. I said, that's the best part. Because even if you don't believe in it, it still works. And I met this lady at the San Francisco airport. I used to have a booth out there where I could sell books. And she didn't, I was just showing her Bhagavad Gita, and she was just humdrum. She didn't care one way or another about the Bhagavad Gita. And she said, I won't read this, you know. So I told her all that. So she got, all right. So she gave me $5. She walked away. I was busy talking to someone else. And about a half hour later, she comes sauntering back, and she has a big smile on her face. She's holding the book up, and she goes, it's working. I said, what? She goes, I went to the counter, they gave me an upgrade. So she happens. So people, if you always have a next thing, like sometimes people say, I'm all set, I'm good. That's something people say all the time, I'm good. And I told Vijay, he's a great book distributor who lives here at ISVS. many years ago, I said, what do you tell people? And they say, yeah, you're good. I can tell you're good. But it can always be better, right? You know, if you always have some little thing to come back with, you can collect those. And every time you run into somebody who's friendly and everything, but they have some excuse, you can just agree with the excuse and toss it out of the way and say, okay, let's go. So these things you'll learn as you gradually present to other people, and it becomes, as Prabhupada said, the great art of book distribution is working with people, working around their doubts, their fears, and allowing them to take the medicine, just like a good doctor. The other day I had some blood taken, and the person was talking and talking and talking and talking, and afterwards she goes, you know, I study psychology, but I'm doing this job, but I'm using it. I just use it on you because you didn't even know I was taking blood, because I was talking the whole time. And so it's the same thing when you learn the art, when you're talking to people and you're drawing a little of their lifeblood, give a donation, $500 for a Bhagavatam set or whatever it might be, they don't even notice if you have that way of presenting to them with a good bedside manner.
Any other questions?
We need a few what-if questions.
What if we go book distribution door to door and someone doesn't open the door even after we knock on it? What do we do? Do we stay there and wait for some time, or do we leave?
Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, a couple of times.
Do you know if they were home or not?
No.
Well, I always look for telltale signs if they're home or not. That's one thing, so that way I'm not mental. Now, the other thing is with apartments, if you notice there's a little thing people can look through, stay focused when you go to the door and knock on the door and keep your eye on that. Don't look around, just look right at that little, you know, it's a peephole, right? If somebody looks through it, it changes color. So as soon as you knock, boom, 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 then you keep staring at it. Just meditate. Just look at it like, oh. And then as soon as it changes color, then you go like this. And it's such a psychological thing. People are looking out, like, I'm going to sneak up and look who's out there. And then they're going, hi. Open the door. So that's one thing you can do. And then the other thing that I recommend is, what we find generally, families go to the door. And, you know, there's families, kids, they always stand first. If you're a big, burly guy, don't stand in front of the people. Because they'll look at it as like, this big guy out there, forget it. But if there's, you know, a mother, little child, or whatever, then they'll think, oh yeah, family, let's open up and have a conversation. So a couple things like that. And the other thing is, with door to door, especially when you go to houses or apartments, a lot of people aren't home. So you just have to be like, think of yourself as an AI robot. You have an algorithm. You knock the door, after a certain amount of time, you notice they're not going to open. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You just move to the next circuit. You just move to the next circuit. You're a robot. You don't care if anybody opens the door or not. That's not up to you. You can't control that. Okay? You want to know how to be an AI robot?
Sure.
Okay. Everyone can try this. Right behind your head, you might not have noticed it. There's a little switch. Try it. Put your hand back there, back of your head. There's a little switch, and you can switch from being a human to an AI robot. And as soon as you switch to an AI robot mode, you don't care anymore. You just do your service. Are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, flip. How do you feel now? You don't care, right? You just go. And whoever you talk to, whatever they say to you, you just react appropriately and keep moving. So that's what I recommend. And I dare say that's what Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita also. To some degree.
You might be able to tell that he really enjoys book distribution. He just makes it fun. And so if you have whatever your nature is, especially if you like to have a little fun, use that. And you'll be successful.
Kids love book distribution. We were just in London, and we went out with the Gurukul. We go there every year to talk to the Gurukul kids, so kind of know them pretty well. And they come out with, we go out with them on book distribution. And I started noticing, we knock on the door, I have about 7 kids with me. They go in groups, right? And then the people, I was talking to them, and then one guy actually said, I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk to these guys. So I started backing off again. You guys talk. So they were there, and they just picked up on it really nicely. And we got back, and we were having a sharing session afterwards with all the kids. It said, okay, everyone share your realizations. And one kid said, never ask for a small donation. And this is what Prabhupada told us. He said, if you're sincere and you try, he said, then the master within your heart will show you how to do it. And he also said, every devotee has his or her own genius how to do this. And it will naturally come out when you're sincere and you try. And I saw it just in the little kids. And they loved it. They're running from door to door, knock on the door, and they make the presentation. And anybody can do it. You just have to be sincere and try. Any more what-if questions? What if?
Hare Krishna Guruji. I can see for the Srimad Bhagavatam, 12 cantos, a lot of people will say that, I might read it at some point in time, but I don't have that much space, especially with the apartments and everything. Like, how do you go around that question?
Well, you can be a little proactive. We were all distributing books in an apartment building one day. I was 2 doors down, and there was a group in front of a door, and the people weren't letting them in. Not that we asked to go in, but a lot of people open the door, especially Indians, and they understand there's something spiritual going on here, and they should invite you in. And if they're up for it, they'll say, come in. So they were hovering at the door, so they called me over because they thought, bring a big white American over and maybe things will change. So I went over and they go, all right, come in. And so we went in there and we opened the box, we put it out, we showed the Bhagavatam, and finally came around to, they were really close to taking it, and they said, we don't have any space for it. And I said, are you sure? They said, yeah. I said, well, do you mind if I just take a quick look? We have a photo of this. As I walked in the other room, because I had seen a shelf when I first walked in, and it was full of junk. And I went over and I said, this shelf's pretty nice. And I said, do you need this? And it was a game. You know those games you play? It looked like nobody had played it in a while. And I said, do you need that? And she goes, no. Then there was a hairbrush. I said, is this still good? And one thing after another, they took them off the shelf. And I said, just get a little wet cloth. And they wiped the shelf. And I said, perfect, it'll fit. Let's just try and see if it fits. And we put it up there. And then next thing you know, they took the set of Bhagavatams. But the thing is, when the Bhagavatam moves in the house, then all the junk goes out. And that's the principle of Bhagavatam. When it goes in here, junk comes out. Vidhunoti suritsatam. And it's the same thing in their house. One of the reasons people are afraid to take the Bhagavatam in their house is because then Krishna is really there. People want to go in their house and say, my temple's down the road. And, when I go there, I'll do a little, whatever, something like that from the deities. When I go home, I'll do whatever I want. But if I put the Bhagavatam in my house, then Krishna's right here in my house. What's more, what you display in your house is what people see when they come over. So if somebody comes in your house and goes, wait a minute, you have the Bhagavatam, the whole Bhagavatam in your house, and you have to admit to them, okay, I'm Hare Krishna. I gotta admit it. That's the way it is. So people have a little phobia of taking the Bhagavatam in your house, and you can just coax them a little bit, and oftentimes they'll find some space for it. More about that?
Most often, when you're talking to Indians, they think that when books like these come, they have to go into their altar. They always want to put it in their altar. That's why they're saying, I don't have space. And recently, when we went to Toronto, we were just heading out for book distribution. Then there was some gentleman. He's from North India, and they speak Maithili language. And Maithili is a language which Sita Devi used to speak. So very, very spiritual people. Then I showed them the Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, I really like, if you want, I can sponsor for someone else, but I can't take. And I asked, where do you live? Do you live in an apartment? He says, yeah, we live in an apartment, but our puja house is very small. There is like a small altar. And that's why we can't take Srimad Bhagavatam, because we don't have space. There are 18 books in our puja house, there is no space. And then we mentioned that our humble request is that you don't put these books in your puja house, because once it goes there, it becomes inaccessible. Because there's many rules that you follow when it comes to an altar, that you have to be in a certain level of cleanliness before you go and touch the deities and everything. So we said that we want you to put these books in a bookshelf, just as a outside. And if you see, it only occupies this much space, only one shelf. And we have pictures of devotees' bookshelves. We have some examples. We show them, see, like this is an example. It just fits in one bookshelf. And we want it to be accessible because devotees want to read it. When people want to read it whenever they go to, like, maybe have free time, even when they go to bed. I even tell them that I have one book right next to my nightstand. Before I go to bed, I read a couple of verses and I put in, and then I go to bed. Then they become very encouraged. So when they say that they don't have space, most likely they do have space. It's just that they don't know where to put it. So as Prabhu was explaining, if you show them what are the possible places where it can go, then they take. And sometimes people really, really don't have space, so they have put the Bhagavatam in the box, in the one that we have, and they put Bhagavatam under the bed, and they were to take out one volume at a time, and they would read it and put it back as well. So it's not about the space, actually, it's just the taste.
This is called Vajra Purnima. There are thousands of devotees wearing this shirt around the world right now in many different languages. And the goal for this year is to distribute 100,008 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams worldwide. And we're working on a team to organize this globally. We've been working on it since Gaura Purnima, which was in March. And devotees in Russia, devotees in China, Japan, all over Europe, in London, Africa, Australia, New Zealand, India, who's doing the lion's share of the 100,000, are mobilizing for this great goal of distributing 100,008 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. We started this in 2018 because we discovered in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 12th canto of verse, Shukadeva Goswami says that on Bhadra Purnima, on the full moon night, anyone who gives a set of Srimad Bhagavatams to somebody else as a gift will return, we get the benefit of going back home, back to Godhead. And we started that campaign that year to proliferate Bhagavatam and give everyone a good reason to take part in the process of distribution. And the first 2 years, worldwide, just the fledgling effort, we were able to distribute about 7,000 sets of Bhagavatams. And then, frustrated that we were on a plateau, we decided we'd make the bold announcement that we were going to distribute at least 10,000 sets of Bhagavatams in 2020. And as many people remember, 2020 had a special feature to it, which was that the pandemic started. And by March, things were closing down. But we still had our goal. It already seemed very difficult to go from 7,000 to 10,000. But then somehow or other, because of the spirit, the attitude during the pandemic of let's do something, worthwhile. Worldwide, we were able to distribute 24,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. That included sending sets of Srimad Bhagavatams to the scientists in Antarctica. Somehow or other, we devised a means to get them there on a boat through a captain somebody knew. And it's an amazing story. And since then, we've moved up the goal every year, a little bit around the world, and devotees have risen to the occasion. And 5 years ago, we set a goal, a 5-year goal, that in 2026, worldwide, we distribute 100,008 Srimad Bhagavatam sets around the world, and we take that as an offering to Srila Prabhupada. And so now, everywhere devotees are mobilized. We have 5 weeks left until September 26th. And it's an opportunity for anyone who wants to take a risk for Krishna to just try to present a Srimad Bhagavatam to somebody else and offer it to people by going out like we will tonight, just for a little jaunt and see what it feels like, or to your friends, neighbors. We have ways in which we can guide you and things like that, but you can be part of this great campaign and you'll feel one with the devotees all over the world who are doing the same thing to reach this goal. And just for the last couple of minutes, please repeat back. It's a reflection time. Anything you heard so far since we started this, you just have like 3-4 minutes, that you're taking away with you. One thing that struck you as helpful, important, interesting, that you want to reflect back. Not a Srimad Bhagavatam class, but just like 1 sentence, 2 sentences.
Can you pass it?
Pray, display and relay.
Yeah. You're an entrepreneur, right? Are you? You pick up the essence fast. Okay, or an engineer. Go ahead.
The more we distribute Bhagavatam, the more taste we get.
Quick, it's a lightning round. Whatever you got, just offer it. Yeah.
It's not the space, but it's the taste.
Not the space. Okay, keep going.
When Bhagavatam goes in, junk comes out.
Yeah. Okay, keep it going. Lightning round. Anything you heard, taken away. There you go.
Don't be afraid of listening to a no.
Yes, very good. Because we want them. More no's, that means you're a minor. You're pushing them out of the way, and then the yes is going to come. Yes. There we go.
The top persons who are like speaking the Bhagavad Gita and telling others, and the same category like who is distributing the Bhagavad Gita are the number one.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. As a coming from Bharat, as Bharati, that's your basic motto and goal. So go for it.
That's right. Yeah. You guys have a quota.
It's not about how many you distribute, it's just about going there and showing up.
That's right. If this was an SAT, you'd be getting 1,600.
So it's not distributing Bhagavatam, but it's preserving the what it has come from.
Switch off, be like a robot.
We'll switch back here. Just flip it, become an AI robot. Hey. Three more.
Try developing a friendship with whoever you try and distribute the book to.
Yeah, very good. That's the main thing. Just make friends. Everything else will happen from there. Few more. Lightning round. Whatever you got on your mind. Anything you heard. Here.
the argument out of the way. Push the argument out of the way.
Yeah, and generally we honor objections. Whatever objection you get, it's like, that's a really good objection. I love that. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm from Fremont. Where are you from? I love that place.
Yes. Okay. 5 more to go. This is your BART quota. Yes. Here comes the mic.
Bhagavatam is no different from Krishna.
That's right, same thing. 4 more.
You look spiritual.
Yeah.
What's your secret?
Everyone say it together. What's
your secret?
If you don't learn anything else, if you use that question, you just walk up to people and say, what's your secret? They'll immediately, their heart will open, like, well you noticed. Okay? You have your hand? This is the last one. Who gets the last word?
To make more space, don't put the books in the altar and instead put them on a bookshelf.
Yes, exactly.
Round seems daunting and people, I'm never cut out for that. I'll never start. I'll have level 1, level 2, level 3, and then we'll congratulate them for making this commitment. So, and maybe seek your blessings so we can walk this path of bhakti.
Level 1, when your name is announced, please stand up if you are available, if you are present here. And in case anyone just registered, when this is, hopefully we have all the names. If you registered, please do let us know as well.
What is level 1?
Oh, sorry, yes. So level 1 is anyone who is committed to chant between 2 to 4 rounds every day. Nidhi Mataji, Meena Mataji. Right. Thank you so much for signing up. And then we have level 2. So level 2 is anyone who's committed to level 2 is chanting between. And Deepti Gupta Mataji, Pushpi Mataji, Venu Prabhu, and Chakri Prabhu. We have a lot of level 4 sign up. So level 4 is anyone who's chanting between 12 to 16 rounds. And we have Vivek Prabhu, Kanchan Mataji, Satya Prabhu, and Sumit Prabhu, Mohit Prabhu. He also had Uma Mataji for level 1. See that? So yes. Hari Bol. Pass it out to Stan Prabhu.
Maharaj, the second thing we wanted to request is, since Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to you, we were brainstorming a couple of days ago what gift would please you, and someone spontaneously suggested would be nice if we can all sponsor a few Srimad Bhagavatams, and so people started sponsoring in the name of other people like that. So collectively, I think together as community, the latest number we have is 62 Srimad Bhagavatams. We are short on time, but we will, if it's alright, we will quickly, we would like both of you to kindly hand them some coverage, and we got some extra copies of Srimad Bhagavatam that we can hand over. Can you call out the names from one name at a time, and then we'll hand?
One family.
Okay, so we have Ram Sarup Prabhu.
Next one.
Yes, and then after that, Shyam Prabhu. And then Ranjeev Prabhu, please keep coming here toward Maharaj. Then we have Vivek Prabhu, Nikhilesh Prabhu, they are not here today, Satya Prabhu, Raj Shekhar Patangi Prabhu,
Bhavani Prabhu, can you take pictures?
Sumit Prabhu, Bhavani Prabhu,
Haribol.
Anshika, and Madhavi and Prashant Prabhu, Monica Mataji, Mohit Prabhu, Kinjal Prabhu, Lata Mataji, Santosh Prabhu, Jasmina Mataji, Ramesh Prabhu, Arna, and Mayuri Mataji. Hello.
Saraswati Vyasam
Yeah. Well, every year we go on a yatra to India, and every year I take some kavacham, and whatever places we go, we offer them to the deities. So we were in Jaipur and Vrindavan for our yatra, and we made a video. You can see it sometime, but we had a large quantity of these kavachams, of which those of you who just got contains one. And we went to all of the temples, and in each place we offered the batch to the pujari, who would then take them and put them at the lotus feet of the deities, Radha Govinda, and we went to Shri Radha Madan Mohan and Karoli, and all the temples in Jaipur, and all the temples around Govardhan Hill, and we dipped them in Radhakund and Shamakund, and we went to Uddhavakund, and we went to the Nrsinga temple. It's at the very tip of Govardhan Hill, and the pujari put them on the deities' lotus feet and so forth. So these are a heartfelt offering for those of you who are walking this beautiful path of bhakti, which is quite natural and deep, and it's really a sense of deep appreciation that we have for what you're all doing here. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your taking up this great path of bhakti, not just for yourselves, but for all the people of Fremont and the Bay Area. Thank you very much for doing the highest service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can I request everyone to take 1 minute of quick seat? We'll have a few quick announcements for logistics on where we're going, how we're going, what else are we doing next. Thank you, Maharaj. So we'll probably go out for book distribution in maybe about 7 minutes or so. Over the next 7 minutes, we have to be highly efficient in how we organize ourselves. We have a few quick things. They made some cookies for all the kids that will cook it. So we will distribute for everyone. So that we will do right after we end the announcements. Are we waiting to get some books from someone? No. Malini Mataji suggested that we have a prize for the quickest team to touch the pavement. As Maharaj mentioned, today our goal is actually very simple. We are not going out to distribute books or do big things. All we are going to do is go and touch the pavement at whatever location. So we have 5 spots that we decided, 3 spots that we decided. Okay, 3 spots that we decided. We will be outside which these 3 spots are. Who is going where? I think all youth will go together to one spot, all small kids will go to another spot, and the rest of us overlooked will go some other spot. And whichever team gets to the final destination, touches the pavement, takes a picture and shares it in our group, wins a special prize. So that's one competition that we... And then Malini Mataji was mentioning about another prize, about how many people get the most no's. So please count when you get there. And another thing is we will have to-go box dinner prasadam packed already. So if you're going out for book distribution, so one thing is out of your worry list. So please take that before you leave. We would like to keep it short today. So we will try doing till 7:45-ish. And then we will, if there is a chance, we can have a quick round of reflections in your team when you go there. And we will get... some of the small kids made some greeting cards as an expression of gratitude to Maharaj and Mataji. So we will have them give them while Mataji hands over the cookies. So all the kids who would like cookies or give greeting cards, now is a good time to come. Okay, kids are all here. Haribo!
Hello. Yes, you can.
I actually helped my mom make
How many?